Welcome to LCS Talks. I'm Berkeley Glazer, and I'm the principal of Langley Christian Middle School. And I have my co-host with me today, Kevin Merchandani. He is our Director of Instruction for K-12 here at Langley Christian. Kevin, what's going on today?
Oh, Berkeley, I am so excited for our episode today. We are chatting with Lauren Ens and Jamie Robertson, and this has been such a great season so far. We've been chatting with Joyce Wang and Dave McVitie. We've been talking about social emotional development. It doesn't get more exciting when we have two youth care workers at the table. So really excited to continue talking about being a connecting, a thriving, and equipping Christian learning community. We have been talking about how faith formation and social emotional development are two sides of the same coin. We need connection and relationship, and we need to grow in our faith. And we think families are asking those questions, trying to be people and little units of connection and belonging, and we want to equip our families to be able to do that really well. We're also really excited to continue exploring how to build relationships with students to help them in their social emotional development and to equip families with a little bit of an understanding of how to do that as they're asking some of those questions. And at the same time, we want to be a community that partners with families. We're doing lots of work in this area of social emotional development, and really excited to chat with Lauren and Jamie about some of their work as youth care workers.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's start by getting to know them a little better. So we're going to ask you to tell us the Coles Notes version of your God stories. And Jamie, we're going to have you start off.
All right. Woohoo. Here we go. So like many people, I grew up in a Christian family and with parents who love God and who kind of paved the way for me also to love and know God as well. And within that, I've always kind of had a heart for others, and also just seeing that in that, like, others would also feel loved and seen. And in terms of like my passion for caring for kids, I feel like it's really started through serving in a ministry at my church that supports families that have children with special needs. And in that program, I believe like God was shaping me to see others the way that He sees them. And it also taught me like patience and compassion and how to be loving to those around me. And kind of through that program, it brought a lot of like mentors and awesome people in my life who encouraged me to do a child and youth care degree. And before that, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but God made it just super clear to me that that was the direction, and just like pursuing a career path in supporting others was just where He wanted me to be. So I followed that. And originally, I really had intended to just work with like children with special needs and families in some kind of community center or some kind of position like that. But through some practicums in schools, I really fell in love with just like the youth care worker role. And I just really loved the way that you can make an impact with kids like several days a week rather than just like a once a week situation. So, and then later on, the door was really open for me to come and apply at LCS. And I just really felt so clearly that that's where God wanted me to be, even though it wasn't my original intention or plan, which I think is often how God works. And yeah, I just really appreciate being able to work here and being around people who like challenge me in my faith and that are so encouraging and supportive. And yeah, it's just such a cool community to be a part of.
Awesome. Lauren, help us get to know you a little better.
Awesome. So Jamie and I actually have quite a similar story. So I'm not going to repeat everything she said because it is also my story, but it's going to sound kind of like a carbon copy and like I am just plagiarizing. But I promise I'm not. But one pattern in my life that I've recognized now looking back at it is how God has always opened my eyes to those who seem to be on the outskirts, who seem to not have a place to belong, and just really tugged on my heart to help them feel included. And so, like Jamie, I worked in that ministry with individuals with disabilities and special needs, and really loved working there and just getting to see the gifts God has given them when maybe other people aren't able to see those gifts, and help to highlight those and help them be the person God created them to be. And so I also did my child and youth care degree at UFV though, not at University of Victoria. So that's one difference we have. And I also thought I'd be working with individuals with diverse abilities once I finished, but God placed me at a practicum working with youth who had very intense mental health challenges. And that really grabbed hold of my heart. Something about working with those individuals made me excited. And although I was excited to work with kids with special needs, I really just felt doors started to open in that direction. And so eventually that led here, and I'm at LCS. And although I was a little skeptical to be working at a Christian school and in a Christian environment, although I love Jesus and that's a big part of my life, I had never worked in that kind of environment. So it's been really, really cool, as we'll talk about later, to incorporate Jesus into our work.
That is awesome. Thanks for sharing a little bit about who you two are. As I was reflecting there, I think a really important part of who you are is reminding us that we are a community of image bearers, people, children of God, made in God's image, regardless of the abilities that we have or the lack of abilities or the challenges that we face. And I think starting from a place of recognizing our need for Christ is often a really helpful common ground. But at the same time, we often use language like we're broken, but we're also beautiful at the same time too. And I think you both navigate this really important dynamic of being people that recognize we live in a broken world, but you also bring together the wonder of God and how we find that in each child. So we're talking today specifically about belonging, but I guess I'm curious for sharing with our listeners. What do you do? What does your role look like? What does it look like on a day-to-day kind of basis? And wondering if you could share a little bit about some of the work that you're involved with LCS.
Yeah, that's a great question. Not a lot of people do know what we do, so we're excited to talk about it to help people understand the role of the youth worker and to know when to utilize us and how they can utilize us. So our goal is to help students get back to class and to learn, but we recognize that things often come up that get in the way of them being able to do so. And so our job is to help them navigate what's going on in their brain, what's going on in their lives, so that they can get back to the classroom and learn. So that can be done typically through in-class support, making sure they can focus and be present in class, or one-on-one sessions, tackling whatever challenges they're going through, group work, tackling social skills and friendship challenges, and learning how to be a good friend and a good person in their grade.
Awesome.
Yeah, and at elementary we do much of the same kinds of things. Definitely also do lots of groups with kids, whether it's to learn more about understanding their own feelings and learning strategies that help them feel calm, so that they're able to be part of the classroom environment and also part of other environments that maybe are causing them some stress or anxiety. And as well as groups that have to do with like social skills or more friendship centered things, where it's like we get to learn how to be a good friend and learn how to make new friends, and just gives opportunities for kids to feel like a sense of belonging both here at this community and also a sense of confidence to kind of pursue friendship outside of our school community as well. Mm-hmm. And then within that, we do a lot of conflict resolution as well. It's probably a huge part of, just learning how to apologize and focusing on restoration of like relationship when things don't go so right in friendship, and being able to like forgive and also shift your own actions and notice how like say one kid's actions affect another student. They're able to begin to acknowledge those things and take other people's perspectives.
That's really helpful. As I was thinking about some of the things that you do with students, just to give a bit of a recap for our listeners, we've talked previously about where our curriculum has kind of moved towards in terms of we use language called competency-based teaching and learning. What that really means is that instead of content being the main priority, we're teaching skills at the same time. We're trying to move a community forward. We're trying to move learners forward by equipping them with communication skills, social skills, some of those executive functioning kind of skills, organization, time management. Those are the things that we called soft skills, but now they're the main focus of how we facilitate the teaching and learning. I wonder, Jamie and Lauren, if you can share a little bit about some of those other skills. You mentioned conflict management. How do you help students that might be for example, needing extra support and kind of equipping with communication or some of those social pieces with working through friendships, for example?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the time it can be done through modeling. And so we can help show the student how to do so with the hope that they will be able to pick up on some of those skills and apply them themselves. And so we show them how to do that. We walk them through it. We role play with them beforehand, and we help them maybe even write out what they need to say or what they should say and perspective take. So put themselves in someone else's shoes, figure out how that person might be feeling when they've wronged them or they've been wronged.
Awesome. How about for you, Jamie? When you think of working with primary and intermediate students, what are some skills that you think are really important that you've been working on with students to equip them to navigate some of the challenges socially or some of those opportunities to build better friendships?
Yeah, very similar, but some of the things I think, especially in elementary level, is there's a huge emphasis on like apologizing and being able to like own your own part. Because I feel like if they learn that when you're in elementary, even when you're an adult or later on in your life, it's a lot easier to acknowledge when you have hurt somebody else. And that takes a lot of time to learn and be a part of those things. And other social pieces are also like just even being able to like go up to a friend and ask them if you can play. Like that's really hard for a lot of kids, especially in elementary.
And adults.
But to like, to like get into a group and be like, hey, can I join you? Like that takes a lot of courage. So just like supporting them and practicing those things. And again, like role playing with people that are maybe even role playing with other students who are really, really good at that or more confident. And
Yeah, that dynamic is so important. As principals responsible for discipline, having Jamie and Lauren be that the sort of first responders, the triage, as I like to call them, because they're the first steps for resolution. And what we've noticed is that by having the kids be able to access them immediately when a conflict occurs, that settles them down and can actually help to de-escalate the problem. Whereas in the past, without having them here in our buildings, then the situations would just scaffold and get bigger, and they would just increase in that dynamic of just from anger to resentment to then major conflict and then all of a sudden fights and that kind of thing. So by having them do this immediate triaging and helping the students really has helped us with helping the kids develop those skills to just get along well in the environment.
Yeah, that's really helpful, Berkeley, in terms of how that fits as part of the team kind of effort to support students in their social emotional development. How would you describe the way that we first kind of recognize that students need additional support in those areas, and how can we come alongside them? You do a lot of the work with, we call it discipline still, but really at the end of the day, your job is to restore relationships and also equip students with the kind of skills that they need. So what's kind of our structure or approach to kind of level by level to support students? What does that look like?
Yeah, you mentioned the team approach. So very much it's a team approach, and it takes eyes from all different levels. So we've got Lauren and Jamie and Dave McVitie, who are our social emotional support. We call them our SEAL team, because it's a cool acronym. We can wear camouflage shirts. So we really like that. And then we have our teachers who actually can also speak into the lives from what they observe in the classroom. We have learning support teachers who help kids with may have some challenges in learning or disabilities, that they're there helping them. And just our EAs, everybody's part of that team. And so as a school, we come together weekly and we discuss anything that's going wrong. And so to be able to have everybody at the table discussing that really helps us set a course and a plan of action.
Definitely. And I think when it comes to that sense of belonging, that every child has at least one or two people out there looking out for them, trying to create a space in which they not only belong, but they can actually attach or connect with caring adults, mentors, trusted people that want to see them thrive. So that's a key goal, I think, for our team kind of approach.
So important. And already we've seen it. When Jamie comes over to the middle school, the kids that she's been helping, they just go, Jamie, Jamie. And then on the middle school side, the high school students, whenever they see Lauren in the house, it's Lauren. So They're
It's actually
definitely
Miss Ens, Miss Robertson, but
yes.
same diff.
Okay, correct.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I think it's awesome to see the two of you super engaged in classes. You're out there, Jamie, at supervision time. You're conflict mediating. You're equipping students with skills to be able to have those conversations. And I think that modeling makes a really big difference in terms of a community being unified around care for students. We value faith formation. We value social emotional development, and we see this cooperation between these two areas. You're not any less important than our Bible teachers, for example. So,
absolutely.
yeah, this is a key conversation for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
All right, back to some questions. Tell us how your faith informs your approach to youth care.
For sure. So for us, we really desire to recognize each student's inherent worth and value and who God created them to be. And so Jamie and I were both very blessed to be raised in households that formed that in us, helped us see the world in that lens. And so as we approach each situation, conflict, whatever it is, we desire to see the child, the student sitting in our office as who God created them to be and the gifts he's given them and helping them fit into that. And yeah, we want them to be the best versions of themselves. And we know that is in line with who Christ has created them to be. And we also want students to be able to see that in each other, in their peers, in their teachers even, and treat them with that respect and dignity. But we also want them to see it in themselves. A lot of the times, especially in middle school, there's a big question mark as who they are, who they're created to be, what their purpose is in the world. And we really desire for them to find out who they are, not as the world tells them who they are or what matters and what is valued, but just what's deep down who they are and what gifts God has gifted them with and how they can use that to impact the world and bring him glory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think another way to that it would our faith informs our approach would be just through prayer. I think even before coming to LCS, a huge thing for myself at least was just the ability to pray and ask for God's guidance in supporting students, whether it's in a secular situation or a private school like our one here. And yeah, I just love the opportunity to be able to pray with students, with parents, with staff. I just think it's incredibly powerful because it also just reminds students and ourselves that sometimes things are too heavy for us to carry on our own, and we need other people in our lives to come alongside us. And we also need God to carry our burdens because ultimately we can't carry those on our own. So I find that is so powerful in the work that we do. There's often moments where, say, a kid is having a really hard time and I just go, hey, do you want to just why don't we just pray? And then often that just helps settle them. And it's really cool just to see the power of God working in those little moments.
Awesome. Why is it important to be a community that creates belonging? I wonder if you can share a little bit about how we can be a community that cares for students, creates a space where they're accepted, they're loved, and they can thrive. Yeah,
I think it's really important because, God's made us to be a community of people together. So I think that in itself is just a call to be able to belong and to help others feel like they belong. I think when others feel isolated, it's really challenging to go through the challenges in life. And kids are the same. They need that sense of belonging, and they need to feel included in their group of friends and feel valued as well. All those things are incredibly important.
Yeah.
And when kids feel like they belong, they can take the masks off and let the walls down and really allow themselves to learn and be their genuine selves. And I think that will improve their learning in the long run because they don't have to spend energy and mind space figuring out who they should be in order to fit in. But if they truly belong as who they genuinely are, then they have the capacity to learn and learn as who God created them to be.
So Jamie and Lauren, I'm going to throw this back to you. When you think of a story or example from your own life that helped solidify or build an understanding of belonging, what comes to mind? Something from your elementary days, your middle school days, something recently? What's the story or narrative that you go back to in terms of shaping that understanding of belonging in a community?
I think one of the things that I think of is just some of the mentors or people in my life that have been there alongside me. I think of even my high school art teacher who was just a person who would who had just made a huge effort to make kids feel like they belong and just really create a safe space for people. And I think that's one way that we also do that at LCS probably too. And yeah, I also think of some of the awesome friends that I have in my life who are just really faithful friends. And I think that's that has made such an impact on my own life of being able to feel like I belong and also, just feel like I have people that I can rely on and come back to for support in challenging times, good times, and the whole works.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for me, I think throughout high school, I had a lot of friends. I say that term loosely. Just people who I loved being around and who were fine to be around me, but I was never really real with. And so as I came into my university years and now in my young adulthood, I am recognizing the need for those close and tight-knit friendships. And now that I have those, it's really freeing to know that I am loved and accepted and supported by these people who truly know who I am. And I don't have to be someone I'm not, and I don't have to put on a smiley face in order for them to love being around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think when I think of my own life, my closest friends are the ones that probably know some of those things that I find really hard to talk about. And at the same time, I'm first accepted and I'm also challenged too. So I think we can easily get into this cycle of just belonging, just accepted, and we're not going to do the hard work on the other side. But I think that's who we want to be as a school community, people that know that have relationship, that are known in community, and that we shape one another so that we actually become more and more like Christ. So I think belonging, as much as it captures a bit of our identity as a Christian school, it's also maybe the starting point of saying, well, there's also a life of now, which is our school theme, belonging or being in Christ from Romans 12:5, many members and one body. And so I think there's lots of work to be done in terms of looking at what it means to be uniquely made, being gifted with different abilities, and also working towards oneness and unity together as a school.
Yeah, Lauren, you brought up the concept of needing to be loved. And we're all in this profession because we love kids. We love being with them. However, kids can be awkward. And one of our mantras is that we embrace the awkward. And so question to both of you is how do you help the kiddos that are on your campus as they adjust to being social, wellness, doing social things right?
Yeah, I think one of the ones is like that conflict resolution piece that we had spoke to a little bit before. Another piece is kind of like those friendship groups where we're able to pair some kids together where we can practice some really specific skills, whether it's things like asking to join play and conversation skills, or being able to like play games and win well and lose well. Some of those like practicing, even though it sounds very like, I don't know. It sounds kind of funny, but at the same time, it gives kids a lot of confidence to be able to feel like they're able to just be social with their friends. And I think it also helps them develop in their just their social awareness. And yeah, we meet kids in their awkwardness and where they're at. Like everyone's awkward. I think adults are awkward too. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just offering some of those opportunities to practice things that normally you don't get to practice. Like often, you get to practice reading, you get to practice your math. Like those things are things that people are going to learn and do. But I think often we expect that everyone will just be able to socialize well just instantly. But I think it takes a lot of work, and it does take a lot of guidance too. So yeah.
That's really interesting. Practice some of those social skills. It goes back to what I shared earlier about content. I mean, doing those math drills. Yeah. What about practicing over and over again? How to say thank you, how to apologize. I mean, I'm sure all of us can take a lot of lessons from that.
I could use that growing up. If you ask my family, I really have to learn how to play games well. I'm not a good games guy.
Yeah, for
sure.
You
can come join one of our groups.
That's probably a great place to encourage families, right? The play around board games,
totally.
The conflict that follows with that, still trying to belong as part of a family after things go sideways in a game of Monopoly.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not expect perfection. Like us adults still make mistakes, and I think it's a cool opportunity to show grace when mistakes are made. And so in middle school and in elementary, it's the same. We do that with our students. We're not just here to discipline and call it a day, but we have a lot of grace for our students. We want them to become the best versions of themselves. And so that's also a take-home thing with the parents. With you guys, because your kids are learning and growing and changing so much, and they need a lot of grace just like we all do.
Awesome. Any other wisdom, insights, things we can encourage our community with as they look to support the social emotional development of our learners here at Langley Christian?
I think being open to talk about things and answer questions when kids come home with questions, or maybe an email sent home because there was a misbehavior in class, and rather than just getting mad at a child for that, digging into what's going on for them, because they might not be sharing with Jamie or I at school. They might just be holding it in. So rather than just seeing that as a negative thing, just explore it a little bit, figure out what's going on for your child, be in relationship with them. That's our biggest tool here at LCS as Jamie and I as youth workers, is just being in relationship and knowing kids. And we really encourage you parents to do your best to know your child. I know it can be a lot of work, and it can be hard when you can't relate to your middle schooler anymore, when all they talk about is Minecraft. But there's going to be so much more impact when you do know them and their quirks and their strengths and their maybe challenges.
Yeah, that's awesome. Berkeley, I hear you play video games as well too. Is that a secret? Am I revealing something?
What?
Yeah.
Clash of Clans. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes you have to participate so that you understand what the kids are doing, what they're going through. Yeah. And it's funny because even your 32-year-old kids can all of a sudden start playing Minecraft. So, it's good to know what that's about.
Yeah. That's really helpful in terms of balancing that relatability and then also trying to authentically be who you are. Yeah. That can be challenging, I'm sure, to be a parent. I don't know what to be a parent of a middle school child. I don't know that yet. I've got a 4-year-old and 2-year-old, so I'm just in the early stages of what that will look like. We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
It's going to be a fun ride.
It will be. Jamie, any insights?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think about, which ties into the building relationships or being relationships with kids, just being able to listen and validate how kids are feeling. I think when we're able to help, say if a kid's really struggling, being able to help them identify oh, I think you're feeling upset about this because maybe this is happening and this is happening. Sometimes that can just be incredibly validating. And even though if, say, there's been a problem at school or something where maybe they've made a wrong choice or something like that, it still gives them that opportunity to feel heard for what's going on. And then after feeling heard, then you're kind of able to kind of go into some of those other pieces of figuring out how to support them well in that.
Because they feel known and they feel like they belong because you know them. And that's really important.
Definitely. It's possible to be both direct and relational, and it's also possible to be validating and empathetic and also collaborative and connect with your child so that they actually are equipped to take some next steps. And so I think we want to be a school that provides opportunities for students to grow in their identity and relationship with Christ, to be a community that continues to ask questions about how we support and partner with families really well. We've got a wraparound kind of team around the social emotional development piece, but we are partners and supportive guides in our families' journeys to care for their children and to see their children thrive. So Jamie and Lauren, we want to thank you so much for your insights and just the work that you're doing in the school to support our students and this community in our efforts with social emotional development.
Yeah, it's clear that you guys are using the skills and gifts that God's given you to be in the right place at the right time. And we're so thankful that you're here at Langley Christian School. We really appreciate you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
And listeners, we want to thank you for tuning in today. We do want to hear from you. So if you have anything to say to us, you can reach out by email at podcast@langleychristian.com. Once again, that's podcast@langleychristian.com. Thanks for listening.